This man named Patrick is shrouded in mystery. We really don't know very much about him. It's relatively certain that at least one, if not both of his parents, were Christians, and that he was a Roman citizen seems to be beyond dispute. When he was 16, he was captured by some Irish pirates. He was held in slavery and in bondage. He became a swineherd. And in his desperation, he turned to God. He prayed incessantly. And as a result, his relationship with the Lord prospered. Patrick finally resolved that if ever he gained his freedom, he would give his life to serving God. He was obsessed with converting his captors. After 6 years, when he was 22, he was able to escape. He fled, walking some 200 miles in constant terror of being pursued and recaptured. He was finally taken aboard a ship whose destination we still don't know. But he soon realized that he had exchanged one kind of servitude for another. After 2 months, he escaped again and sought out his family. Maybe in Britain, perhaps in Gaul. His studies obviously had been interrupted by his captivity, so he resolutely set about remedying his academic incompetence. We know that he studied at monasteries in Marmoutier, Lorraine, Auxerre, and Arles, and he was eventually ordained to the priesthood of Jesus Christ. His dream was to return to Ireland, but his superiors judged that too hazardous, beyond Patrick's capacity. But he persevered and persisted, and finally he overcame official resistance to his return. He did go back to Ireland, and apparently he had been consecrated a bishop before he did that. We think it was around the year 432, but still, certainty is hard to come by. He came as a missionary, and he went immediately to the northwestern part of Ireland, where the gospel was totally unknown. The magnitude of his task was overwhelming. He had very few co-workers, and the pagan religion had fused with the culture. He was putting not just his freedom, but his very life at risk and in jeopardy. But despite that, he joined the issue at once, with boldness and with courage. He soon concluded and realized that it was useless to work upward through the people. And so he sought to get himself arrested. And on the first Easter vigil, when he was there, he built a giant bonfire on Slane, and it worked. He was hailed before the king. He attacked that chieftain. He was neither timid nor apologetic. He literally flung Christianity into the teeth of Druidism. And somehow, by the grace of God, it worked. Patrick baptized and confirmed literally hundreds of thousands of Christians. He is said to have ordained over 5,000 priests. And he lived to see the clergy, which until then had come from Britain and from Gaul, become a native clergy. His converts, their offspring. He is said to have consecrated 370 bishops, and he professed monks and virgins by the legion. He founded 700 places of worship, and apparently worked on many of them with his own hands. In his old age, he had the satisfaction of seeing a native succeed him. Benignus became the bishop. Patrick had trained Benignus himself. We don't even know where Patrick is buried. But we do know that he converted those Druids. He overcame them by witness, by example. He was said to have been a great preacher, but without question, his greatest sermon was his life. While we know little of Patrick, of his people and his progeny, we know a little more. Ireland has always been a small nation, but a great people. Ireland is among the youngest of nations, and yet one of the oldest of civilizations. The Irish have always been a people of hope, a people of confidence, a people who had intense pride in their heritage. The Irish are a people of imagination, artistic genius. They have produced some of the world's greatest literature, some of the greatest poetry. In a very real sense, the Irish have preserved Western culture. They're a people of constancy and courage, a people of perseverance, firmly committed, fiercely committed to freedom and to liberty. Ireland has sparked the cause of independence throughout the world. And from the very beginning of our country, there has been a unique relationship between Ireland and America, between the Irish and Americans. The great O'Connell was influenced by Washington, and reciprocally, Lincoln was influenced by Emmett. Of the American Revolution, Lord Montjoy said to the British Parliament, "We've lost America, and we lost it through the Irish." In the Civil War, the Irish Brigade marched into the Battle of Fredericksburg on December the 12th, 1862, and every one of the 2,000 men had a sprig of green in his hat. Fredericksburg was one of the bloodiest of battles. Only 200 of the Irish Brigade survived. Despite this crushing defeat, their valor prompted encomiums from General Robert E. Lee and the applause of his officers and his men. Of course, the Irish Brigade became the Rainbow Division of World War I, the Fighting 69th. But it wasn't just soldiers who came out. There were teachers and doctors, priests, religious. The poet said, "They're going, 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 and we cannot bid them stay." Over 50 years ago, Jack Kennedy said, "No country has contributed more to the building of the United States of America than the sons and the daughters of Ireland." And reciprocally, no people believes more deeply in the cause of Irish freedom than the people of the United States of America. The The Irish are a people of yearning to be free. While democratic persuasion is prevailing now over force, and while a peace process has replaced terrorism and violence, let us continue to pray that Patrick, who brought faith to the stiff-necked Irish, may continue now to promote and guarantee harmony and freedom among their progeny. Walk proud today.